Great. Welcome everyone to our Committee of the Whole meeting for November 10th, 2020. We have all council members present, Councillor Link from Ward 1, Councillor Buschetti from Ward 2, Councillor Kleiber for Ward 3, and Councillor Prague for Ward 4. Thank you all. And thank you to those who are watching live or watching recorded. We appreciate you taking an interest in local decision making in West St. Paul. Tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting, for those who don't know the process, Committee of the Whole meetings are opportunities for council to discuss issues, so we won't be making decisions at this meeting. I will call the meeting to order. We have no votes at Committee of the Whole meeting. They are just for discussion purposes and recommendations for regular council meetings. So I'm calling the meeting to order. We don't vote on it. We're all in attendance. I would just like to, before we begin and have our delegation speak, we have two delegations coming to speak to council tonight as part of our agenda. I would just like to take a moment of silence. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day. We have had Remembrance Day services in West St. Paul for 7 years at our Sonova Center, and this year with the tight COVID restrictions, we are not able to have that community event. And we usually get, our numbers are increasing, 75 to 100 people. Our fire department come out. That's organized by Bev Bragg and Demara Geddes, our recreation director. And it's something that we're very proud of, to pay tribute to our local veterans and all veterans. So we're going to take time tomorrow to remember the 99 West St. Paul veterans who enlisted in World War I and World War II to fight for their country, and those that paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy the rights and freedoms that we have today. So I'll ask that we bow our heads in a moment of silence for all veterans. Thank you. All right, just before we begin, I know that there are a lot of people, members of our public, our residents, and possibly even our delegates who are less familiar with our Committee of the Whole process. As I mentioned, we don't make decisions, we just discuss information so that we can make better decisions. This is a new process this term. Prior to that, we did not have committee meetings and did not have an additional opportunity outside of council meetings, regular council meetings, to discuss issues. And I will turn it over to our CEO also to discuss if there's anything further you want to say about the Committee of the Whole. Sorry, Councillor Buschetti, go ahead.
Can we just get caller 1 to mute? Just we're getting some feedback as they're talking, because probably watching it on the computer and on the phone. So
thank you. So either caller 1 mute or
who is caller 1?
Ms. Shaw, do we know who caller 1 is?
My apologies, Madam Mayor, I cannot caller 1. Can you identify yourself?
So caller 1, if you're listening, can you identify yourself, please? Okay, and caller 1 out. Go ahead, Mr. CEO. I'll let you speak if there's any other comments you want to make about the Committee of the Whole meetings and delegation process.
Yeah, I just wanted to state that Committee of the Whole meetings is a new process that this council has been using to promote discussion amongst council. You know, and we have it before a regular council meeting on Thursday. And I just want to let the people that'll view this through YouTube know that the delegations are usually limited to 10 minutes. That's what it states in our bylaw, that delegations are 10 minutes, and then the mayor would allow for some time for her council if they had any question of delegates. Sorry, Mayor. I may add that both delegations have been to council at previous time.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I think we have to have you mute your mic. There we go. Perfect. Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're trying to set up here. Are you saying that you're limiting these people to 10 minutes? Is that what that was about, or what was that preamble for?
Thank you, Councillor Kleiber. The preamble was because there's a lot of residents watching that don't understand our committee of the whole meeting. So I know that council is fully aware that committee of the whole meetings, there are no decisions made. And I know that council has read and recently approved our procedural bylaw. And so that council is fully aware that delegations can be limited to 10 minutes a delegate. We're just letting the delegations know that and letting our residents know that, so that when we're limiting people, it's part of our procedural bylaw to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. So all of the delegates will get 10 minutes to speak, and we'll go around the council table after if there are any questions. And we just don't want to send delegations away feeling like, how come council hasn't made a decision on this? Or if residents are watching on YouTube and they're wondering why council isn't voting on these items, we do not vote at committee of the whole meetings. So I just want residents and our delegates in attendance tonight to be aware of our process. I know council is fully aware. Councillor Kleiber?
So we can limit them to 10 minutes, but we don't have to, right? So I know when I came as a delegation, that rule was in place too, but the mayor did not limit us at that time. So we can choose, right? That's what we can do?
Yeah, we've been flexible. Ms. Shaw, do you want to pull that up on the screen again, just so that we make sure?
Option is there, right? So if you decide that you want to cut them off at 10 minutes, you can, but if not, they can speak longer if they need more time, correct?
We try and keep it to 10 or 15 minutes, because then it's fair for everybody that comes to speak to council. So if we don't have some kind of restrictions in place, we can't have people present for an hour to council. So we try and give an opportunity. And as the CAO mentioned, both delegations who are coming to speak to council tonight have been to council. All right. Our first delegation for this evening, and can we ask callers to mute? We've got a couple of callers on the line. Yep, caller 2 and 3, can you identify yourself and let council know who you are? Welcome to our meeting.
Okay. We're connected by phone. It's Tess Gutierrez,
Okay.
the Rome Floor Plus Association.
Okay, we're getting a lot of feedback from you, so I'm not sure if you're watching it at the same time on YouTube or not, but we're getting a lot of feedback from you, and I'm not sure who caller 3 is, but if you could mute yourself, caller 3, we're getting a lot of feedback.
Oh, okay.
Too much audio?
Probably. Okay. We can hear it from here now, so maybe you can turn it on.
We appreciate you taking the time to come to speak to council, and we want to make sure that we can hear you. Perfect. Tess, are you still there? Tess, are you still there? I'm not hearing from Tess.
Is it just me, or is Mayor Christian going in and out? I was wondering if it's my internet or if it's your internet, because you're freezing, Mayor Christian.
Good on my end.
Can you hear me?
Very difficult to hear you, but yes.
Okay. I think just a minute.
Very difficult to hear you.
You see, that's why we have to do that phone again.
You have to choose one.
They just have too many opened up and it's rebounding off of each of them in the room. So, because I see there's 2 open lines.
Hello?
Hey, Tess, are you able to hear us? We're having a very difficult time hearing you. We need, if there's other phones on or the computer on, we need you to mute those so that we can hear your presentation. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to hear you.
Okay, well,
Mute your.
okay, let me see. Can you hear me from this cell phone?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you now.
Okay, well, we'll use the phone and use the laptop to see you on screen. I have 2 other members here, neighbors here with me. So,
Can
Are you
you
okay?
turn it down a little bit? Can you
Turn
turn
this-
down your volume a
where's the volume?
Question.
Okay. Okay. Maybe if I talk softly, would it be better?
That's better. We can hear you very clear now.
Okay, thank you. What time do we have here now? Okay. Okay, well, first of all, well, I hope you can hear me. I just wanted to find out, on November 2nd special meeting of council giving 3rd reading to bylaw 2020-13 procedures bylaw, I just need, first of all, clarification regarding future requests for delegation, requests to council meeting agenda. Does this still go to the CAO, or does it go to the mayor now?
Tess, can I just ask you, what is it that you're wanting to present to council this evening?
A number of things, most especially it's the difficulty of us getting contractors, the difficulty of us getting to connect. Basically it's the requirement or council's requirement to have core certified contractors to do the individual homeowner connection. That's been, you know, the difficulty that all of us are getting, and to the point that a number of neighbors or homeowners haven't even received a quote. Nobody has come over to give them a quotation. And so that's the main issue.
Okay, just reminding you, Tess, that the delegations coming to council are to make a presentation to council. So if you have specific questions about the project, our CAO and our Director of Infrastructure have been calling and emailing residents to let them know people that they can contact to connect. So we don't do a question and answer at delegation. Is there something that you're wanting to present to us?
Yes,
If there's
I have a
challenges that
specific
you have,
question. Oh, I have a specific question because a number of those, actually, you have now listed on the contractors that's listed on the website. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of these 10 contractors, well, I have sent to you guys for certification, Cox Construction, Accurate HD. Tricor just doesn't want to be bothered with all this individual little projects. Bus Construction, well, basically, all of these contractors that's listed and licensed by the municipality are core certified contractors because they're big enough to do so, you know, and also their quotations comes with the same price tag. So we have other contractors that we have, and even came over and gave a quotation to one neighbor. And it's certainly a lot lower Oh, am I still on? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Something showed up that I just left. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So here's the difficulty. Like, we need to be connected, and we're already paying for, there's a deadline of November 23rd for the cash option, if people would like to do that, and that's for November 23rd. Yet here we are, we can't even get a code. We don't know when we could get connected, and it's just that nobody bothered with us other than, well, big enough contractors that's saying, you know, well, without even saying or measuring distances and whatever, they just have to say, oh, it's in upwards of 16 to 17,000. I mean, on top of the 17,000 main trunks, that's looking at $35,000 for sewer connections that we don't even know when it would happen. So, and the difficulty with that is because the certification requirement by the municipality that the contractors be core certified. I have one in particular, and actually sent them to you guys as well, No Limits Underground, who submitted a licensing request and was, of course, turned down because of the reason that when he sent to me the letter stating that, well, because they have to have the core certification already and not just in the process. They will be completing it in March, and they have actually, they were given a temporary core license because they're doing work for Manitoba Hydro. But they can't even give us a quotation. Well, because what's the sense of giving quotation if they can't do the work for us? So with that one particular contractor, I know that, well, they would certainly, looking at and just basing it from my quotation, they could certainly match it or even lower it. And even, it's also when the work will have to be done. Because if it's something that we have to look at the next year or 2 years from now, I mean, that's how many more sewer emptying do we have to pay in order to do that? So my direct question right now is, why does it have to be core certified contractors only to do the individual hookups for private properties? I spoke with the provincial engineer with the Manitoba Water Services Board, Travis Parson, and I asked him that. He says, well, for them, they require, for the province, they require core licensed contractors, well, because they're doing the public works. And that's why it's a big project. I asked him, and the reason why our municipality is requiring individual hookups to be core certified. He didn't have an answer. And I talked to Stantec engineer, Brett, whatever his last name. I talked to him as well. And no, he doesn't also have any reason for that. Because obviously, it's certainly a lot more expensive for this guy to act. May I hear feedback from you.
Right. Are there any other issues, Tess, that you were wanting to bring to council?
Okay. Well, the other ones that I've gathered. Okay. Do you currently require contractors installing holding tanks and septic tanks or fields to be core certified? Okay. And well, I'm just reading off some of the questions from the neighbors. Well, that's again the same thing. Confirm the need for supplemental insurance and core requirements for small-scale residential sewer work. How many other Manitoba municipalities require similar requirements for residential hookup to a lateral sewer line connection? Are there additional construction firms that the municipality could solicit for this work? Okay, and there's another question. Well, this would be more specific to, you know, Director of Infrastructure or the engineering people. It doesn't have to be answered by council. It's because it's just a question why we have concrete piping versus plastic piping, so that we'll know where to address that. But could we get an answer from council today about this contractor? Well, in particular, no limits underground. Because these are people ready to go and give quotation, and they could line us up before snow comes or before New Year. But I need to know, because for them to come over and schedule this, you know, quotation, there's no point. It's council, well, they were rejected. So I told them that, well, I'll present it before council. And especially for them, because they have a temporary license or temporary core certificate, and they're doing work for Manitoba Hydro. Isn't that good enough for you guys? And what exactly is, why do we have to have this core certified people?
So, thank you, Tessa. I know I've seen a number of emails from residents who have emailed or phoned our CAO or our Director of Infrastructure to ask those questions. And I can appreciate your concerns in bringing it to council. But just to clarify for you, council does not make that decision. We do not see any of that licensing. We do not accept or reject people wanting to do work in our municipality. Those are administrative responsibilities. So that those requests come to our staff, our Director of Infrastructure, for them to decide on the core certification. I'm going to have the CAO answer on the core certification. I will just make one brief comment in terms of safety. We've had a prominent home builder in our community that's done many homes recently pass away in a trenching accident in Springfield, Mr. CAO. Is that Springfield. Core certification is safety. This individual was trenching and not even at the depths that your pipe is located for the T and for connecting to your home, and he was killed. I personally know of one individual who's paralyzed from the waist down in a trench without core certification. So our municipality really values the importance of safety. I don't want to see anybody killed on your yard. I don't want to see anybody killed connecting to a T on municipal property. And I'll let the CAO expand on that, but we are very serious on safety. There's a list of 10 contractors who have that core certification. Our municipality will add to the list as others come forward, but I'll let the CAO answer that in more detail.
Hi. So the mayor nailed it there on why we have core certification. So number one, they're connecting into a shared pipeline that's running down your street, a lateral line. So that's one of the reasons that we ask for the core function. And the other one is simply safety. That we witnessed a death that hit close to municipality this year, and it seems to happen almost every second year that we hear a horror story of somebody being buried alive in a trench. Number two, to talk to you about the contractors. From what I understood, there's a couple of contractors right now that have a list of people and are accepting names in that. So I could share that with you offline. We don't get too involved with the private contractors. It's been the policy of the ORM that when you're doing work in your yard, that it's handled by the homeowner, and that's what's happened in the past on other LIDs with connections. So I'm a little surprised this time. I'm not saying that I don't believe anyone, but I'm just surprised because we haven't had that problem in other LIDs. But I'm willing to, if there's a contractor that test that you're dealing with, or you have people that are dealing with it that aren't qualified or haven't applied yet to the RM, I'd be willing to sit down with them with our engineer and potentially our engineer from Stantec and determine what we could do to get them qualified. And if you know that there's a contractor that's doing hydro work that that could be in their favor, and we'd be able to get them to do the work. Or if we could, if there's someone else that, if they're not quarter certified, but if they could provide us with a resume of experience, we could sit down and talk to them and see that, if we can get it done, if we can't find others that want to do this work. But in saying that, I've been told that there's two others, the contractors that had contacted us and let it be known, and we did it on that Saturday. We said, we know that these two are actively doing work. So if you want to share outside of this meeting the name of people you have that are willing to do the work, or that one, especially that one that I was doing hydro, I'd be willing to sit down with them and get you guys moving, because this was a big project, and I would like flow going down that line too. I think it's the right thing for us to do. So I'm willing to work with this group if you can supply me some other names.
Well, then that's good to hear, because, well, I know in particular there's JPX Construction, and I mean, they did the work at Niverville. The town of Niverville contracted them, and it was on online. I was reading it off like online. It's on the Citizens News that they were doing all this fixing the sewer projects there, and it's this JPX Construction gave a quote to one of the neighbors on Addis, and certainly a lot less than what she had received from Cox Construction. But this company just didn't come back because, well, they don't have the certification. And there's another one that quite a few contractors that well, I wouldn't say few. There's another one, Penner HD Underground, that one of the neighbors is trying to contact. But then again, this one doesn't have. So basically, you're saying that you would consider contractors that don't have core certification right now, if they could, because, well, of course, we as homeowners are doing our own due diligence to get contractors who are qualified enough and know what they're doing for the work that they're doing in our property. And also that is why, well, we do understand that, core certification attached to that is safety, but even stringent safety measures, still accidents happen. And that's what liability insurance is all about. In the same token that we as homeowners, we have our own, what do we call it? It's liability insurance for our own, I have especially for my own,
residential?
Yes, and the coverage to replace. I have my own homeowner insurance sewer installation. It's called underground service line endorsement. And this is the kind of, this insurance is to repair or replace homeowner-owned exterior underground water and sewer piping that is accidentally broken, leaks, breaks, tears, and all that stuff. So, I mean, that is for us homeowners to protect ourselves, and also for, the liability in case something happens within our property. And I understand that with you as the municipality is trying to get or certified companies to do work for the municipality. Then, okay.
Just going to have CEO comment, and then we're going to see if there's questions from council. Okay, go ahead, Mr. CEO.
I guess I just been informed by our front office. We have a local company that's core certified that's taking on work. So I'd be willing to share that name offline with you. We don't like to discuss specific companies online in regards to this, but I can share that name with you that is actively doing work, and I'm willing to sit down and interview companies that you've been talking to and look at their resumes and see what they're doing. But that's only if there are not core certified companies doing this. So if I can supply you with names of companies that are doing this, and we could go through that process, I want to distinguish all those avenues first before we start dealing with companies that are not core certified. But I hear you, and I'm willing, if you're willing to send me these names and their phone numbers, I'm willing to talk to them and interview them and
So
see what their
Tuesday
resumes look like.
It's
We have
Tuesday
to,
now.
as an RM, take care, and I realize that you have liability insurance. It's our duty as you at NOTES, our duty as an RM to make sure that we are covering liability for the RM. So that's, when you're telling me that, you have your homeowner's insurance and that, there's a little bit more to it than that, but I recognize what you're saying, and you're making good sense to me today.
Okay, so then it's Tuesday now, and you're saying that you're going to make yourself available then. So within this week, can we schedule something with you? Any commitment that you'll,
Yeah, I'm looking for you
time?
to send me the names and the numbers of the contractors that you have, and we'll call them and find out more about them. And then when you send me that, I'll send you names of of this third contractor. I'll send you the names of the 3 contractors I know that are actively doing work now. And
Well, I hope so. Well, you can tell me, because I'm pretty much up with them all, with all of them.
Talk to you before the end of the week, sure.
Okay, so I'm going to so you're committing then for this week to meet and talk to whoever we send to you, because time is of the essence here. It's November now, we don't have much time.
Yes, I'm just going to stop you there. So you guys have received notification from our CAO and from the municipality that our Director of Infrastructure and CAO have been available at any time since this has been completed, October 14th? At any time. So many of your neighbors have reached out and called. I'm not sure if COVID is playing a role in the fact that you guys are having trouble having companies come out. But I want to be clear that our CAO and Director of Infrastructure have included their phone number in those notices, and they've always been available to answer any questions on this. So you guys have
I've been dealing with Rick Friesen. He's been very accommodating, and he's been answering my calls. And I got a lot more quicker response from him. I do give him credit for that.
Very good. We appreciate you sharing your concerns, and our CAO has committed. So if you send that information to him, he will follow up. So that would be the next process. I've had you exceed your time here for presenting. I'm going to see if council has any questions for you, and then we're going to we'll let the CAO follow up. You're going to send him an email with some names, and he's going to follow up with you directly.
Okay.
Any questions from council? Councillor Link? Any questions for Tess?
Just a comment. I believe that when the contractors get licenses to install lateral lines or any other lines, the contract starts at January and goes to January. I wonder if a small accommodation could be made if they get a license now in the year just before January, if it could if it could be extended to cover next year to January. It's only November, December, and boom, January. And I don't think the license costs much, but it is a cost, an extra cost for the companies. If you remove that, it might help.
Okay, so Councillor Link, you're talking about the license to be core certified?
No, I'm talking about the license they have to get from the RM.
Great,
Yeah,
good question.
their core certification it doesn't come from the RM. But if they're core certified, yeah, they go on our list and they can do work here.
Well, I would
No,
check
it's not,
wording on the website then, because that's not what I understood.
oh, that's just it though. Following up on Councilor Eleanor's point there. It's not, core certification comes from the Manitoba Heavy Equipment, it's their organization. But what Councilor Eleanor is talking about, and we as homeowners referring to as well, is the licensing by the municipality for these contractors to do work for us individual homeowners. Like who gives the license for these homeowners, for these contractors to do the work for the municipality? Is it the director of infrastructure? Is it Rick Friesen? Or is it the CAO?
Yes, I'm just going to catch up there. So the CAO has answered your question. The director of infrastructure, CAO, look at that information. Probably the director of infrastructure makes that determination based on the core certification, and they're added to the list of companies that are able to work in West St. Paul on wastewater connections. So that's a process they review. And just to be clear, on work that is done, Councillor Link, I'm seeing that you're posting up. Yep. So on work that's done, this is something we've been trying to do to make sure that it's easier for residents to find companies, because we also don't want to see residents get ripped off. So we've had people come in the past to say, we've had some work done. Someone came in, didn't do the restoration that they told us. They didn't put the grass back on my yard. We're not endorsing any of these companies. We're trying to help residents and make it easier for you to find companies. So in the same way that you would fix your toilet in your house, that you would call a list of plumbers and find somebody to do the work, that this is the responsibility of residents. We're just trying to help you and make sure that when someone connects to our municipal infrastructure, they're going to do it safely and properly. So at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to sound harsh, but at the end of the day, you're looking for a service on your property. And in the middle of COVID right now, some of these guys, it might be challenging to find people. But our CAO has committed to you that if there's additional people that are coming forward, they will review all of that information. I'm going to see if there's other questions. I see Councillor Prague has his hand up. Go ahead, Councillor Prague.
I can sense the frustration in Tessa's voice and the people around her. It seems like they're calling these people and nobody's responding to them. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her a bit. I can see her frustration. Because if I'm calling X amount of people here and they're not responding, and I have a deadline when to hook up, how you think I feel? They feel deserted. And I am very happy that the CEO said he's going to listen to them and find a solution to this, because she's talking. You can sense her frustration, and it was
and something that
more
and quickly and quick response.
Yeah.
Because like right now, we would like to be able to at least get contractors and even at this time lock in the price that we could get, but we can't even get that. But okay.
I can assure you, like as the CEO said, he's going to work with you before the week is up and get the infrastructure of Mr. Romano. Let's get this figured out, because Christmas is coming and you don't want these people to be in limbo. So let's, try and help her out, please.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. I agree. Councillor Bichetti, any comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber, have we got you on? I don't think we have Councillor Kleiber on right now. Councillor Link, go ahead.
She said she called in. I just texted her to see if we lost her. She said she's on. Maybe she's not. Sorry.
Councillor Kleiber, go ahead. Or Councillor Link, sorry.
Okay, I did find West St. Paul does have an application for sewer and water contractor's license. It runs from January 1st to December 31st, and it costs $50. If we waive that $50, at least it would be a savings to the contractors, a slight, tiny bit of incentive. So they wouldn't pay it and it would expire in 2 months. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, I'd have to follow procedure, and I just couldn't simply say that today. I'd have to, you know, follow procedures. It's only $50. These are thousands of dollars, these jobs, but yeah, I'm willing to look at that.
I guess my only comment, and I share the concerns that have been raised, Tess. I understand your frustration, and I agree with Councillor Prague. This is very frustrating when you're trying to get connected. I can absolutely appreciate that. At the same time, I do not want to see our municipality, our Director of Infrastructure, quickly approve people or waive proper process that would result in bad work to our residents. So I don't want somebody, you know, to be rushed to be approved that shouldn't be doing the work or that has a reputation of not doing proper work, because I don't want you and your neighbors to come back to council and say, you know, gee, we sure saved some money, but we've got these issues now. And we have had that. As a councillor, I have had people come to me and say, this company didn't finish, they didn't do what they said. So I understand your frustration, but we certainly don't want, we don't want to see our residents get ripped off. We don't want to see our residents not have proper work done. So I think we have some a path forward here. Our CAO is going to wait for your email or phone call to share some names of people who have experience, and let's see if we can add some more to the list. But we want to make sure that if the RM has put our name behind those people and they've paid $50 and got their license, that they're going to provide you with good service. Does that make sense? I don't know if we've lost Tess. Nope, she's still there. Thank you, Tess, for coming in to speak tonight. Councillor Kleiber, welcome back. Do you have any questions of Tess?
Okay, so we've got people working on our poles outside, and that's why I'm going in and out, in and out. So I will phone in if there's an issue. So core certification is a very stringent thing, and we are core certified as a company, and we have to go through all kinds of things to get core certified. So it's very stringent on safety. It's stringent on our equipment. Our equipment has to be inspected all the time, has to be up-to-date inspections. So it's a huge process. You can't just get core certified overnight. It takes months and months of paperwork just to put that all together. Well, once you're core certified, then you have to have a safety plan to even go on a site. So when you're looking at core certified people, you're looking at people that are really have done a lot of work to get that certification. And for the most part, you should be able to trust them, right? So when you say, well, I can't get anybody core certified, well, yes, you could probably get uncertified, but I don't think the municipality wants to recommend that to you, because we want to recommend people that have got their safety plans in place, that are inspecting their machines on a regular basis, that are putting things together properly. So, you know, if you're looking for us for recommendations, we're limited as to what we can give you, because we have to ensure safety and we have to ensure that everything's running tickety-boo. So I don't know if there's a requirement, Mr. CAO, that if they want to hook up, they have to have core certified, but certainly if we're going to recommend somebody, we're going to recommend core certification. So maybe you can speak to that.
Go ahead, Mr. CAO.
May I
Thanks,
just
Councilor
say,
Clyber. You made some good points there. One of the notes that I've got from our Director of Infrastructure is Manitoba Water Services Board will not allow any contractor to do work unless they have core on their job. So with that, backs up what we're doing. And I think, yeah, that, we have pipes that are an expensive asset in the ground that a number of people are connected to. So we have to make sure that qualified people are working on them, because it's not only impacting that one home that's attaching at the time. In saying that, I'm willing to sit down and deal with people, and if there's a qualified contractor there, and at least, at the very least, we will interview and talk to them, and maybe get some recommendations from Stantec, our engineer, and maybe there's a potential to bring safety people on. But there's core certified has been our standard, and we've moved to that, and as a professional business entity, just like you are in private business, that's the standard we've been following.
okay, may I just say something? I spoke with the Stantec engineers and the Manitoba Water Services Board engineers, and I've asked them also for recommendations, and they're basically just giving the same recommendations. Contractors who are core certified, these are the big contractors. They have to be big enough and have enough staff to go through the whole core certification and maintaining that. So they have to be big enough. That's why even just like the one contractor that gave us a quotation of anything upwards of 17,000, that's how it is. And we have to wait. In the meantime, with what we have to pay for at the main line of 17,000 and 17,000, that's minimum of $35,000 to just get connected. I mean, that's not, if that's the requirement that you require. Of course, we as homeowners, it's the safety. And again, we're just going in circles. But if we don't, of course, certainly we would like core certified people. But it's just the affordability of these people, of these contractors to do the work. And not only that, also the schedule. When would they be able to do it? In the meantime, we homeowners are ready to, we want to be connected now. We have to pay for that line November 26th.
I appreciate coming to council and make the presentation. Our CAO is going to follow up on that. But I do just want to be clear. I get the frustration. But in terms of people not providing service and having challenges coming to your home to do the services, we are in the middle of a global pandemic. Our province is in a state of emergency. It's a critical code red right now. Everything is shut down. So, we're all having trouble getting services. So I absolutely understand the frustration. The RM is doing whatever we can at our end to help. Our CAO, if you reach out to him with the names that have been provided to you, he will get back to you. So I appreciate you coming to speak to us and to share that. So you've been given some instructions of how you can get help. Our CAO will await your email with all of those names of people who are ready to work but are wanting to speak to the RM. And councillors have made some great points. Councillor Kleiber's comments about core certification and safety, and our CAO has talked about the multi-millions of dollars that have been invested in our infrastructure. So we certainly want to make sure that your needs are being met, but that we're getting proper work done. So you've got instructions. Send an email to our CAO, and we thank you for coming to speak to council tonight.
I would also say, Mayor Christian, that Tess, you don't have to stick with the ones that Stantec give you. There are other core certified companies out there that you can look up. So if they gave you a recommendation of core certification and you find a contractor that's core certified, then you're meeting that requirement.
Great point, Councillor Kleiber. and our municipality would be supportive of that. That information would go to the Director of Infrastructure, and they would be saying, yes, get to work. So, so there's another option as well. Thank you, Tess, for coming to speak to us, and our CEO will await your email. All right, our second delegation for this evening is Mr. Peczkowski. Thank you for patiently waiting through the first delegation. You came to speak to council October 24th, 2019. So you know the council knows the back history on this, wanting a rink in Riverdale. Spoke to us on October 24th, and then we did consider your request during budget time. And you are back to present a new request or modified request to council. So I'm going to give you 10 to 15 minutes to present to council, and then we'll go around for questions. I think you heard us at the beginning, committee of the whole meetings, we don't make decisions, we take information for recommendation for the future. And I will hand it over to you. Thank you for patiently waiting.
Sounds good. First of all, I'll do a sound check. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. First of all, I hope everybody is safe and healthy at this time. And I want to thank you very much for allowing me the time to speak on this topic once again, in addition to what I pointed out and what I presented last year. Last year, I made a proposal for a relocation of the outdoor skating rink in Riverdale. I believe I sent at that time and today forwarded to Lainey the same document that I presented last year, which she's pulling up right now. And this page 2 was the estimated costs. Obviously, when I had heard back from council after convening with Public Works, there were some issues, there were some concerns that were brought forth. So what I decided to do in the meantime between last year and this year is I felt I kind of wanted to tweak a few things that mostly affected the cost and cost requirements for it that I was hoping to have approved and maybe collected by the RM. Now I understand Public Works maintains, I still don't know 100%, but 6-7 outdoor skating rinks in our community, which is great. But it's a well-documented topic that I don't think our Public Works department is expanding at the same growth rate as our community is, whether it be residential, commercial, infrastructure in general. So that was one of my points that I made up as well last year, and something that I would like to point out again this year, in addition to some other concerns. Right now, like Mayor Christian had just mentioned, as a matter of fact today, it's been announced that the whole province is going code red. We've been out of youth sports now for, like winter youth sports that is, for a few weeks, and we're not even December yet. And I will be the first one to admit and advocate for the health and safety is paramount and most important before anything else. That being said, we do have options like these ODRs for our kids and for our residents within our community to allow them to have good, extensive, safe options for recreation, for activity, to help us get through what will be a very long winter. Relocating this rink from the existing location in the park and the green space park to the tennis court does absolutely, in my humble opinion, no risk for safety whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I believe it enhances safety. And I think we touched on this subject before last year, and I'll reiterate it that as much as the Public Works Department absolutely, they bust themselves, and I commend them for that. The location where it is right now is just not, it's not ideal. It's not level. They have to use a substantial amount of water just to get a partly level surface. And when they do get to that surface, it's very bumpy. Like, it's actually very bumpy. That's actually the safety concern right there. It's equivalent to almost like a crack in the sidewalk, like a tripping hazard. It really is. Allowing this rink to be built on a level surface such as the tennis court will do no damage to the court. There will be no breaching or drilling into the court. We will need a fraction amount of the water, and it'll enhance safety, plain and simple. I believe doing this project and relocating this rink will do wonders for this community and wonders for this neighborhood. And one thing, actually, Lainey, if you don't mind, if you can hear me, can you pull up the second document that I sent you, the updated proposal? Perfect. So last year, the proposal stated my initial size was 40 by 88 is what the size of the rink that I was proposing. Obviously, with some costs that I had pointed out, I tried to tweak a few things, trying to be a little more cost effective as well. So the size, I kind of reduced it to 36 by 72. And as you see on the screen, there are some red numbers and some red measurements. Those numbers in red are indicating the shortfall of the material that I would want or need to complete the rink of 36 by 72. All the boards and all the outline of the rink that are in black are existing material that is already built and already ready to be installed and put in place. We do not need any storage for this whatsoever. We are not going to ask the RM or Public Works to find a storage spot for any of this material for the summertime and when it is not being in use. And it is completely transferable from location to location if and when that standalone pad does get approved for a budget in the future. So, Lainey, if you don't mind, can you scroll down a little bit more to the bottom where I have the costs? Thank you. So what I did is to complete the project, I have a little breakdown of some costs here, including a liner. So at the very bottom, there's a total of $1,200 and $1,202.01. That would be the estimated, I shouldn't even say estimated, that would be a very close estimate on cost to complete this rink, as opposed to the two options that I presented last year of $3,200 approximately and $4,200. So I am just here today again, and I know I have probably a few residents of the neighborhood that are probably tuning in and paying attention to support this idea and this proposal. We're going to be screaming for options this winter for kids and us parents, residents in general, to get exercise and to get out in a safe way. We do not know when sports are going to be allowed back. With the province going to red just today, I'm sure we can all agree that that announcement is probably not going to come in the near future. My guesstimate, to be honest, would be best case scenario January, if we're even lucky enough to turn things around. But I just feel that with us alleviating Public Works of this rink on their to-do list, which would be the case if this were to get approved, like we will assume all the setup, all the tear down, all the flooding. And I was able to speak with Rick briefly, and after explaining to him, I guess not my version of it, because my version was in the original proposal, but just getting that opportunity to speak with him, I think, I mean, it's tough to say because it was on the phone, but I believe he was a little more intrigued and definitely pretty receptive when I was kind of going down that road essentially, and kind of telling him or asking him and saying, and I understand someone, it doesn't come down to him. I understand that he doesn't have the final say. I completely understand it, but obviously getting Public Works approval for this was definitely an important factor in the project. But I mean, I kind of mentioned to him and said, listen, if we are able to get this approved, to relocate this at least for this 1 year, just to give us a shot, You're not going to have to worry about sending staff in there every week to flood this rink and put tons of water and clear it of snow and to maintain it. And not that they don't want to do that. That's not what I'm getting at. It just it frees their space and time up for other responsibilities in the community as well. So I mean, that's my plea right now. I've been still digging and not trying to get discouraged. I actually went as far as to approach Windsor Plywood, which is located right in our neighborhood. I was there earlier this week, and I wrote a letter of donation, even for material. And the owner of the store, Mr. Jeff Johnner, he definitely, he couldn't give me an answer either way, because he said he wanted a letter, an official letter to come from council and the municipality. So I was going to bring that up at some point today as well. Before I hand over the mic for questions and comments, really quick, I just want to stress that I reached out initially again this year in August, just wanting to try to get this thing moving like sooner than later. And I completely understand that everyone is busy and there's a lot of moving parts right now with the current situation. But time is of essence in the event that this is something that the RM is open to the point where the weather's already starting to turn. And if there's any hope to get this done, I would want to and need to get this additional material yesterday to start building it really quick. And so we can have it up and running maybe in the next couple weeks. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to go around and I'm sure there's going to be questions for you. I had started with Councillor Link last time, so we'll go Ward 2 and start with Councillor Bichetti. Any questions, comments for Mr. Pichowski?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Now, since it's not going to be on municipal property, aren't we in that restricted mode where all municipal sports recreation has to get shut down? Like, did the tennis courts get shut down during that first spurt? I'm just clarifying right now. Would it include the public parks in the community center, in the outside of the community centers?
Is that a question for myself or for Mayor Christian?
I'm going to defer that to you.
Councillor Bichetti, that is something I've definitely thought of, especially as recent as, oh, sorry, go ahead.
There was a call on from 3 to 4 today with the province that we have some staff sitting in on, but we've been told that we're going to have to shut our playgrounds and parks on the latest order from the province. So as we're speaking of doing this, that we've been told our parks have to be closed.
Okay, so I completely respect and understand that decision, as I'm obviously I'd be the first one to advocate for safety and abiding by the restrictions. Does that mean that the RM and more specifically Public Works is going to be directed to not prepare or install any rinks at all this winter because of this news? Or will we be, as a community, still going ahead with preparing those in the event that once restrictions get lifted enough for them to be used, that they will be ready?
That hasn't been decided yet. We've just gotten news that the province is telling us to shut our parks down. So we would be probably on our might have to have a special meeting on our November 26th meeting with council. We'd have to discuss what our long-term plans are. Currently, before this latest decision, before the code read by the province, we were discussing with the recreation director about limited hours for the rink at Sonova Center, because you have to provide social distancing. If people go into Sonova Hall, you have to make sure that the washrooms are cleaned continuously. They have to be, especially with localized inside. We haven't made that decision yet. I haven't made it. Council hasn't looked at the policy on what we're going to do moving forward. But we do know this currently, that the province is telling us we need to close our parks.
Okay, and that is like I mentioned, I couldn't agree more, and I respect that fully. I would just hope that, like you had mentioned, Mr. CAO, that we should, or there should be a meeting that maybe takes place, because I think if that means maybe scaling back maybe the number of skating rinks, that can be considered, and that's fine. But I think the community,
Jamie, that's a council decision, and that's for dialogue for council, not dialogue for yourself and myself. Now, at this point, we're discussing, this rink at this location. You came to council previously with this project, and it's gone to our budget, and at budget council supported a different project than this one for now, and they've also have, if approved moving forward, an asphalt site in Riverdale to move forward. So, I mean, the dialogue's really not for you and I over on what we want to do with our parks moving forward. I would recommend that the dialogue would be, if you wanted to talk to elected officials or your councillor outside of this meeting, you certainly can, as a resident of West St. Paul, decide that. But I think right now what we want to do is council's looking for more information on your rink in Riverdale that you're proposing.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Bichetti, you have more questions for Mr. Pichkowski?
Yeah, I guess it's more a couple of comments. This summer we had some, not going to call them issues, I guess some couple of complaints, and Councillor Link, you probably received most of them. I got a couple of phone calls just when the basketballs courts left, and then they came back, people started complaining again about noise. That is the biggest thing, because I have a park in my ward with boards, and I just don't want to feel like the counselor is going to be the first one to start getting a lot of the calls with the pucks banging on the boards, little kids trying to skate on the boards, and kids playing hockey on there. So I just want to make sure that it's made aware that to the residents of what is going to be happening there, because everybody sounds happy when you go to their door, but till it goes up there, and then we start getting the phone calls with the complaints about noise, kids there at night. It happens. I know it's not something we want to hear, but we do hear about it. So that's just more of a comment on my side. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I understand that, and that's something obviously that I've thought of on multiple occasions, and I back onto this park, right? So I've experienced the kids coming here at night and playing basketball and yelling, and music's at volume 10 at 10:30 p.m. I've experienced all that, and I've walked over there once over the course of my time here, and very politely just asked them to turn it down, and they were very cooperative. But I just want to stress and mention that first of all, there would be no lights with this rink, right? So our days in the winter are literally 8 to 5, with that slowly changing in the new year. So I don't really foresee a problem with evening noise with pucks banging, because that thing will not be used after dinner time. And in regards to kind of like the skating and hockey, my goal is not to create a dilemma here and a conflict between multiple ice sports, whether it be ringette or hockey or skating. With adding some boards to an ice surface, it just simply expands your possibilities and the options for whatever those kids want to do. I mean, with the existing rules on the tennis courts, if you show up and someone's there, those people that are currently on the court should be leaving in 30 minutes and there should be a rotation, right? This would be very similar to that, unless you're approaching that rink with the same concept in mind, whether it be skating, and that's what's existingly being done on the rink, or hockey and vice versa. So, I mean, my goal is not to create any divide here. It's just simply to, I guess, welcome more options to the rink, right? So
I understand what you're saying, but you know, as our time on rec, like you can see the size, like the kids, there's multiple ages all over, and you know, living in Riverdale, there's multiple ages of, you know, from little kids up to full blown, you know, they slap shot at you and you're going down. So I just want to, it's just a safety issue. That's what the biggest thing I'm worried about. So.
And you know what, I'll acknowledge that 100%. But if that was the argument, then we wouldn't even open up the rink at Sonova too, right? Because the same thing happens on any outdoor rink. So, I mean, I wouldn't, definitely not dismissing it, but like that risk, I guess, if you want to obviously call it as it is, and that potential would happen at any outdoor rink, right? So, I mean, it's nothing you can completely kind of get away from.
Any other questions, Councillor Bichetti? Councillor Kleiber, any questions, comments for Mr. Pichkowski?
Well, Mr. Pichkowski, how do I say your name?
Mr. Pichkowski.
Pichkowski, there you go. People struggle with my name too. So there's a couple of things we were talking about budget earlier, but I know that we got a grant from the federal government for, I think, $271,000 for COVID, which has no tag attached to it, which we can use discretionary. So I think that you're looking for $1,000. Is that what you're looking for? End game? $1,200.
So yeah, it would be about $1,200 is what the adjusted, I guess, requested fund total would be to make it happen. Yes.
Yeah. So I think if the council has a will for it, I'm sure we could find $1,200 somewhere. I like the idea. I think that you're right. Recreation just keeps kids out of trouble. And you know what? That's what we want to do. We want to provide opportunities for kids to have exercise. The more restrictions we have, the more kids go stir crazy. And although our CAO is correct, we have to shut those playgrounds down for the time being. I understand your point of, you know, can we prepare when we come out of shutdown? So perhaps we can do that. If we're going to be flooding the other rinks, then there's no reason, if we agree to this as a council or going forward, that we can't flood that one and prepare it. I think that's a fair enough comment on your part. And clearly, in my opinion, if you've come back a second time, there's a will in your community for this, and they want it, and they're willing to do what it takes to get it. So, you know, we'd still have to, you know, decide as a council on it. But I think the price is low, and the labor's there, and I think it's positive for the community. It's going to keep your kids out of trouble. There might be a noise factor, but I think you pointed out any rink is going to have a noise factor, and we're going to have to deal with the noise factor at Sonova when all the housing goes up back there. There's going to be hockey pucks going against the rink. There's same thing on Moore Road. There's hockey pucks against the rink. There's homes there too. So, you know, it's just the nature of the beast, so to speak, right? So I noticed you said we're going to use less water. It's going to be level. We're not going to have tripping hazards anymore. That's positive for me. You know, there's no storage required. So tell me, how are you going to store this? Are you going to store it in your garage? Or what?
Well, no, it would be like I have like family who live not in West St. Paul, but just outside of West St. Paul, like my folks, like my parents, and that's where my equipment was being stored. And I only stress that and mention that, Councillor Link, because I'm obviously very receptive to an idea, a concern, or a thought that's I believe is exact. Well, no, I was getting at, like, if there's something, if there was a legitimate concern that was brought forth to not do this, and I'm not the type to try to squeeze around that. Like if it's a concern, it's a concern, and I wouldn't want to promote something that would create a concern. But what I'm getting at is if that was a sticking point between this happening or not, with something along the lines of storage or snow clearing, obviously, or anything like that, that to me is consider it done, right? Because we don't have to request Public Works or the RM to find storage for it, or to worry about snow clearing, because now you can't use a loader and things like that. Like that's all going to be taken care of. And yeah, I appreciate your kind words, and I wasn't at all trying to include myself, Mr. CAO, on obviously the decisions of the rinks. It was kind of like Councillor Link was mentioning, is, I mean, it'd be nice if it's been so soon. It just happened this afternoon, but yeah, just to be progressive, I guess, and maybe be prepared, because in the event that things do open up, it just kind of get ahead of the curve and ahead of the game a little bit with preparations, and allowing the rec, the outdoor rec opportunities to just go along as planned when they could.
Well, I would say, Jamie, too, you know, I'm looking outside my window right now and it's almost 5 o'clock and it's almost dark. And one of the things you said was there's no lights there, right?
No, there won't be any lights, no.
So it'd be pretty dark. So if anybody's going to go on that rink in the middle of the night, that would be pretty difficult. So you're not going to have listen, we got construction people working till 7 or 8 o'clock in the night with loaders and all kinds of noise that they're making, and it's not even half as noisy as a couple of pucks. So, and I get to experience that every day. So I know that a couple of pucks is not going to really make a big deal. And after 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you're not going to have people going out in the middle of the night playing hockey. So I think the fact that there's no lights there is probably a good thing at this point. But I hope that council considers this as a trial, something that we try out and just see, you know. I mean, if we maintain ownership of whatever is there, you can put it on the other green space later on, if you don't think it's a waste of money. But I think we should consider it. I like that you've gone out, and I understand that you went to Windsor Plywood and asked them for a donation as well. Did that pan out at all, or? The
owner of the store, I think his name's Jeff John, or YJ he goes by. Yeah. He wanted to, he needed a specific type of donation letter, and it needed to be official, I guess, quote unspeak, because obviously maybe the business portion of it and the implications and the write-offs, I'm assuming, right, and things like that. So it needed to be an official letter from the municipality. That's all he had mentioned. So yeah, so he's willing to front this $1,200 for you then, as long as he didn't say that. He didn't give me the complete go ahead on that. He just said to even kind of consider it. He would need it to be directed from the RM. Yeah. There you go. So the basically, if we can exchange donation with the business, which is done very often, I've done it, then basically your costs are covered. Is that correct? Potentially. Yeah. So then we're just looking at permission here is what we're looking at, and whether or not the concept is going to fly. And of course, we're not going to take a vote tonight, but I think it's a great project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kleiber. Councillor Craig.
Sir, I don't want to butcher your name, so I'm going to call you Jamie. Is that okay? I've listened to both councillors, Buschetti and Kleiber, and both have very, very, very valid points. And I, for one, being an ex-officer with the service, Councillor Kleiber mentioned it. Kids, if you don't have them occupied, they will get into trouble. You find them in the street corners and so. And with your tenacity that you've taken this project from the top on to now, I really admire you for that. And to take these kids under your wings and go there, hats off to you.
Thank you.
All I ask is to chat with Mr. Friesen, work out something. The cost is not, to me, is not an issue. Work it out. And if you could talk to the immediate neighbors like Councillor Bussetti said, all the councillors receive phone calls from people, and not all people are lenient to like kids, you know, especially is no knock on anybody, like they're against it. And I, for one, if they have a rink right in front of my driveway, I love the kids to play there in order for them to stay off the street. That's one. My major thing is sports. And COVID here, the kids are locked up, even myself locked up in the house. I go cuckoo. You know, you need to get out. And if you can have them safely, in the meantime, work with Mr. Friesen, and I'm positive that they won't have this lockdown going on forever. And if we're prepared from now, moving when they uplift the lockdown, at least we can move forward. And thank you so much for your presentation. I've seen that you have done a lot of work. And once we sat as a thing, we listened to this discussion, and we'll bring it to council. But in the meantime, I'll ask you to deal with Mr. Friesen. It seems like the way you talk, like he's very positive. And I know Mr. Friesen is a very understanding guy. I've dealt with him, and let's move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Craig.
Councillor Link.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you, Jamie, for bringing this back to us with some changes. Very persistence, and that's a very positive quality. I think that you indicated that during your latest talks with Mr. Friesen that fewer floodings would be required, less time, less work actually for public works than if they were trying to maintain the rink that is on a grass surface. Am I right there?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Good. And I do agree with the other councillors who stressed that we do need to be ready when we are finally going to open up. None of us have been doing well as if we could get out and socialize. And it's harder even on kids, I think. So I think we do have to get ready for when the playgrounds open again.
Sorry, Councillor Link, can I stress something
yes?
really quick?
Yes.
To add to that, if this outdoor skating rink were to be relocated, that compound can be locked as well, just like it was for the tennis courts in the springtime. So if that rink was indeed built and ready to go, it just needs a lock, and then it's ready to go once everything's lifted.
I also want to respond to Councillor Buschetti's comments. Yes, Councillor Buschetti, I had complaints about noise from a small one or two people. They didn't want the basketball hoops back, but I had more people who wanted those basketball hoops reinstalled, and they were frustrated that their kids couldn't get into the park to play basketball. There's two sides to every story, but parks are made for the kids, aren't they? For kids to play and have fun and to let off steam and learn how to get along with one another. Now, the area that's being thought of for a new type of rink, asphalt coating and that, I don't know if anybody's looked at the amount of green space that would be removing from the park. The tennis courts remove green space. The play structure takes away, And how much green space will in the park for kids to run and jump and play tag and whatever they would like to do will be left if we use it up to create another asphalt service? I think that needs to be looked at. Right now, it looks like there's a nice area for kids to run and play uninhibited. I also want to say that I went out this year to see residents who back onto the park because they were calling me about the trees getting trimmed. So I went to see the situation there, and I met with a couple of the residents who backed right onto that tennis court. Old guys, and old guys sometimes can lose their temper pretty quick. These guys, I asked them, how do you find the kids when they're playing in that tennis court? And they said, it's amazing. They get along. They seem to be able to take turns. When someone's had a turn for X number of minutes on the basketball court or at the tennis, then they trade off. And there's no supervision being supplied. They're learning to get along with one another, and it seems to be working. I said, were you bothered by the noise? Well, I don't know if these guys are losing their hearing, but I don't think so. And they said, no, we enjoy hearing the kids play. So there's always two sides. You enjoy hearing the kids play, or they're bugging the heck out of you because they are playing. There's always going to be two sides. So I'm supportive of this project. Also, and I have ready a resolution that we can, and I'm going to email it to all the councillors, and I'm going to email it to the CAO and the MLO. And it would take very little time, short resolution. I don't really think a lot more discussion is necessary. It would probably take 5 minutes at the absolute outside at an upcoming meeting to deal with. Read the resolution. I'll need a seconder. It can be amended, but I think it could be we could make a quick decision on this. So I'm going to send it to everybody. I'm hoping to see it as I'm going to ask for it as an addendum to Thursday's meeting, which is packed. Thursday's meeting is packed, but I don't think an extra 5 minutes hurts.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'm going to refer to you, Mr. CEO.
Hi, Council. Yeah, that's great presentation by Jamie today. As a Canadian and a hockey player, I like rinks also. I think that this has to come back to council with a report from the CAO's office. I would encourage Jamie not to be contacting the public works manager directly. This should be going through the CAO. So we've already talked about that, Jamie, on the phone. I want to say that I give you a check mark here for when you say no storage is required. So that's good in your favor, because one of the issues we had is we don't have anywhere to put these boards. We have cans that we're moving off of RM property. We don't want to be storing boards at public works, because there's people that will call that unsightly. So that's a really good thing. We do know some of the things we do know, and I'll put this in a report to council. We know that currently the parks are closed, but I hear everybody here today that said that we want to be in what I would call as the CAO shovel ready mode. So I think that's a good thing. We have to be, and this will be in my report, we have to understand that there are no water services on site. So we would have to be trucking water in. Also, and this is, you know, I'm just listing some things for you to think about, Jamie. Best practices, if you go to other municipalities, City of Winnipeg, City of Selkirk, you usually, in parks, you don't, there's pleasure rinks in parks, so don't see rinks in all the parks. So that's best practices, but I'm not saying if the will of council is to move ahead here, I'm good with that. I want to point out to council that we did talk about this at budget time. I would have, and if there's going to be a positive flair to this moving forward, and stating once again, I am fine with that. But if it would have been better at budget time, if we would have moved forward on this, because it would have given us time to plan around this. And when we came to council, there was, as you remember, dollars were allotted to Legends and time this year to do a park there. So that's one of the reasons, Jamie, you were up the list on council did look at this as a good project, but council also said, you know, we want to do an asphalt court there. We want to move basketball onto a court. That's the kind of things I heard at council at budget time. However, in saying that, you know, your presentation was good today, and you know, council seems to be getting behind this at tough times at COVID. So yes, as Councillor Link said, there's two sides. So there's this side, but I mean, I also have you know, an email from a resident here. I would think a lot of residents are for, this is Canada, are for the hockey rink there. But, you know, I have a resident that says on the surface, it's not a bad idea. He's hoping there's no damage to the tennis courts. But then he goes on to say that he feels it's late in the year, if this wasn't at budget, to be looking at it. He wants to know why we wouldn't be spending money at our central location at Sonova. And then his final point is that, and I think he's got a good point here, is that when you do this, and Jamie, you know, like you said, hey, get dark early. You know, who's going to be using that rink once it's dark? Well, if you go by Sonova Center or in Riverbend, when it gets dark, everybody wants to be using the rink. So what we found on other locations, that be prepared, council and Jamie and residents living there, that once you get a rink going here, and let me be clear, I played hockey, so I'm for rinks, right? That we will be having, there will be an ask for lights, right? So you have to be aware of that we will, you'll have lights that will be going up there eventually, and that gives the kids the best time to play. Like, they'll want to be going there after school and meeting their friends there later in the evening. So there's a number of things. We will be, you know, there's talks with costs. You know, we have, Jamie has contacted someone for donations. I would think that we may not want to go that way, because we also have a subdivision request coming from that location. So we wouldn't want to be getting a donation from someone who's coming for a subdivision request in the near future. And I would recommend to council that they let me do a proper report, or you know, we can, you know, if council chooses, we can have a special meeting, or we could wait for the November 26th meeting. I don't know, we could put it on as an addendum for Thursday. I don't know if I could put a report together, but I think that we need a report and a resolution to move this forward properly. And you know, if the will of council is there, and we seem to have some excited residents, and I know Jamie is very persistent. He's found me on the golf course to promote his project, so which surprised me. So, you know, yeah, if the will of council is there and council wants to move forward with this, we will work with council and Jamie. And but I just want to say, I have 4 residents that when I contacted and I talked to Jamie, I said I was going to contact this one resident. I asked him to contact another resident that we both knew, and he had mentioned that, you know, probably, I don't know if opposed is the right word, but at this point, they're not for it. They may not be against it, but you know, people are funny when things get built, you know, close to their homes and things change, right? Just like council, at one point, we weren't moving forward on this, and I'm hearing different things now. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to ask, you know, if council or the mayor can recommend that I do a report, and I hear that, you know, a talk from the resident councillor for that area about a resolution moving forward. And I'm going to leave that in the hands of mayor and council to take over from here.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I will see, I support the will of council in wanting to have further discussion on this. And I support your request for an admin report as well. Thursday's meeting is really packed with 7 planning items. I'm worried that we won't even get through the rest of our agenda on Thursday. If council is agreeable, I think we should give the CAO some time to do a report and call a special meeting on this. Because trying to cram this into Thursday and asking our CAO to do a report on this in a day is not possible. But I think that, you know, the will of council is to address this issue. I think we should give him some time to do an admin report. Councillor Craig, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
I totally agree with you. If we give the CEO a little time, I know this meeting is packed, and see that we get it on at the special meeting if the rest of council agrees with that. Get it on the special meeting to move this thing forward, whether it's a yay or nay. Because from my point of view, Jamie has worked his butt off to get this thing going. And I really appreciate, we might not have everybody on board. We can't please everybody. But for the sake of the kids, let's make something for them because of this COVID. I beg you guys.
Thank you, Councillor Craig. Councillor Link had your hand up, and then Councillor Clyburn. Go ahead, Councillor Link.
Yes. Earlier, Councillor Clyburn mentioned the grant money that we received, a substantial amount. This amount of money that Jamie's asking, it doesn't even rate the amount. I think there is a minimum amount to go to the budget. If the office people want some equipment and it only costs around this amount, sorry, it does not even have to go to the budget. It can be taken out of the operating fund, the operating budget, through a resolution. This amount of money is minuscule that he's asking, and I don't know your thinking on going to Windsor Plywood. I think a local business would jump at the idea, especially one that's across the way from Riverdale. I'd wonder why they wouldn't like the idea of getting some publicity for supporting local kids who want to skate for pleasure, for ringette, for going and knocking a puck around or a ringette around, or for sliding on the ice on a piece of cardboard. I mean, as long as they're having fun, and I think the local business is a real good idea to pursue myself.
Just as a follow-up to that, Councillor Link, I don't think if we can get donations for businesses for lots of things that we do in West St. Paul, we certainly try in terms of donations made at Canada Day for prizes. The concern that the CAO has raised is that Windsor Plywood is coming to council for a request for subdivision. So accepting anything from them right now is a concern he has, but I think he can elaborate on that further for us in the future. It was a concern that he raised. But yeah, money is not the sticking point. I don't think so either. So absolutely. I do have a couple of comments or questions that I would like to ask as
Can
well.
I?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
Thank you. Jamie, have
Yeah.
you already talked to residents in the area?
I did that last year. I went door to door, remember, and I specifically targeted all the homes that backed onto the park.
Yeah.
And
What did they say?
I had a 100% endorsement. I didn't have anyone who didn't sign my I don't want to say petition, but I don't want to say anyone who signed my document of, or letter of support, or list of support. So I would definitely appreciate, like, I understand where like Mr. CAO is coming from as well. I know you're not going to please everybody 100%, and I understand that, and I don't want to be the individual to bring an idea forward, no matter what it is, in a neighborhood, and for the displeasure to grow momentum, because I'm going to be here a while, and I don't want my name attached to anything like that as well. However, a small investment like this, for, like I was kind of describing and explaining as well, as just even give it 1 year to like 1 season to see how it goes. You know what I mean? And it's completely transferable. You can use the material elsewhere. It's not fixed there. There's no damage or anything like that. There is going to be concerns, right? Like, I understand that you're not going to please everybody, but I just think that
I was going to say, Jamie, is if there's a concern about nighttime noise, if you can padlock it for COVID, you can padlock it at night too, especially if you're backing right onto it. If it gets too noisy, you could lock the gates, right?
I could, for sure. That would just come down to whether it's something that, as council and the RM would give me, I guess, authorization to do, or would want me to do.
So I mean, but for right now, there's no lights anyway, so very, very rare that anybody's going to go on there. The other thing I was going to mention is we already had an administration report on this. I recall we had an administration report the first time you came, and I don't think the optics have changed other than the money. Is that correct? Nothing's changed in your proposal other than the fact that the money has dropped down to like $1,200, right?
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Well, I guess, you know what? Sorry, Councillor Kleiber, that, and I guess the option of storing it, like that situation, right? So
that's the only thing that's changed.
I'm just going to jump in. I just want to jump in here and Councillor Kleiber, I think we should go through that process, and I think we could do it fast. I don't think we should have a delegation come and we just roll out a resolution. So I'm all, if this is what council wants to do and we want to move forward with this, that's fine. But I could put a report together and we could make this happen.
Is your administration report going to change drastically from the first time? No, not really, right? So we could probably move it a little bit quicker.
Yes, right. So I think Jamie would respect that he's presented his concerns on this, and I think he would respect having a report come back from the CEO. Is there anything that's different about this? In the same way that we're revisiting it, I think we should give our staff the opportunity to revisit that too. Do they have anything they want to share, any concerns, and how does this roll out at their area?
Okay, so do you have, Mr. CAO, do you have a timeline of when we could call that special meeting?
Can I just say something? Aren't things closed for the next?
I could have something put together for next week.
If you're a necessary service, you're still running. And you're virtual.
I mean, our parks and recreation, at least for the next 30 days, they're closed.
Right, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about preparation, getting ready for when they reopen. So that's why the administration report.
Yeah, so I said that I would be ready for a special meeting next week. We're not going to get, we have a full meeting on Thursday. I don't think we'll be lucky to get through our planning stuff. So I think it's having a special meeting next week is pretty reasonable. I don't have any opposition to this. I'll flag some things so that, that are there, so council realizes that. And then I don't think it's proper that on a delegation to council that we go and use that special funding money that we got from the government. That maybe there's another place in the budget that I can look at it and find money and then report to council next week and saying, you know, this is going to cost this much, and we think there's going to be some extra dollars in this location in our budget, and we'll use the money there, or forego something that we're doing and saying, you know, this will be a better priority to put here. Maybe there's some things that we're not doing that we're saving money on because of COVID, right? So that's all I'm doing. I'm covering bases. So in the future, if we go this route again, I don't want to get in the habit of people coming in for delegations and us rolling out a resolution from a delegation and things happening without due process. And you know, if we do a report, I do it next week. If something similar like this happens again with the delegation, we can refer back and go, look, we're going to need a report, and not somebody saying, well, we didn't last time we had a delegation, we didn't need a report, we just rolled out a resolution. So yeah, I have a administrative report from before, so I'm pretty well there. Let's find some.
Okay, thank you. That's great. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. Everybody's had an opportunity to ask questions and speak. I just have a couple of questions and comments from my chair. You know, I had some hesitation about you coming back again and the message it sends when we've approved council, but the numbers that you've provided and shared with us are certainly lower than what was presented before, and $1,200, as council has said, is not a lot of money. I know how passionate everybody is about skating in our community. I believe we have 9 pleasure rinks right now, and those are used by all ages and for all purposes. And so it's a good thing. We wanted to get the basketball nets up really quick because residents in your area love that. They love the space. So, you know, I completely agree with the councillors in the comments that they've made about recreation. We've done some great things in terms of pouring an asphalt pad on Hiawatha to make it easier to flood. So I understand your approach of wanting to do that on asphalt, and it's certainly much easier on grass. I've mentioned to you before that, you know, I've got 5 skaters in my family, and we flood our backyard on grass, and it's certainly not an easy task. So, you know, in terms of a rink and supporting that for kids using that, absolutely. But I do just want to make sure that as we proceed and as we make decisions, that we do it properly and that it's balanced. So some of the things that I've heard that just I want confirmation on from the CAO, because this is municipal land, it's not our backyards, right? I want confirmation on safety, right? A lot of times when we've talked about play structures or equipment, we can't just go to Costco and buy a play structure and set it up, and it would be the easiest and the cheapest thing to do, but we can't, right? We have to meet certain standards. So if somebody signs off that it's okay to use residential type boards and plywood and that this is okay, you know, I think it's fair that you're wanting to donate that. And so for me, I just want some confirmation in an admin report that we're okay with this, that you know, there aren't concerns there. I know that you talked about saving Public Works time, but I would just like to understand, and I think it would be important to have oversight of Public Works as that's being constructed. This isn't a pleasure rink in your backyard anymore. This is something that kids of West St. Paul are going to use. And when they step onto municipal property, they expect that we're doing things safely. So I want to know what that oversight looks like when those boards are connected. Is Mr. Friesen going to stand and watch the connection to make sure screws aren't loose and somebody's not getting hurt? Those aren't big things. Those aren't deal breakers, Mr. Pichkowski. But for me, I just want to make sure that, you know, it's not on private land, it's on municipal land. So what does that mean for us? And how do we ensure that the kids on there are safe, right? The other issues I think that we could have the CAO comment on are signage, right? On there at your own risk. We've done that on other areas, or, you know, these are only open, this skating rink, from these hours. So certainly the lighting and not having light, councillors have raised good valid points that if there isn't lights hanging over it, they're not going to be out there in the dark. But we've got some creative troublemakers if there's signage out there that says, you know, this skating rink is closed at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, RCMP are then able to enforce if there's calls made and there's trouble going on. So there's some of these little details where I'm not opposed to your rink. I just think that we need to make sure, you know, as they say, the devil's in the details, that we've looked after safety, that we've posted some signage. And I'm also, you know, council, and rightly so, is always calling to task on process. And so if we're putting this up, are we within the proper process? Are we under tendering? Does our CEO need to get quotes? I can't even explain to you the phone calls and emails that I get. I don't want to get a phone call on this saying, I've got boards in my basement. Why aren't you letting me use my boards? So I just want to make sure that, you know, we've done everything transparently and proper in terms of process, bringing this forward, and that we've got an idea of the full cost. We've got your costs and the cost for boards, but in terms of time investment and public works on their end. I have had a couple of residents make comments. I think you're right. I think there's overwhelming support. There's lots of kids that use the pleasure rink. Riverdale has done a real turnaround in terms of empty nesters selling properties and younger families moving in. So I know there's a few naysayers. We are going to hear from them. I've received a couple of emails. We are going to hear about it. So I don't think they're deal breakers. We just have to figure out ways to address that. So if the signage is up and the hours are limited, you know, I think we can think outside the box and figure out ways to address these issues. So when our CEO is asking to present an admin report, and I'm supporting that, I don't want you to be discouraged. I think that if we can address problems and safety concerns at the front end, then this project would be successful. And the last thing I want to see is for you to bring something to council, us to make a rush decision, and that not to be successful. So what you're hearing, I think, from the will of council is this: come back to us and that we give you a shot to prepare a rink here and see how this works. But I think, and I'm hoping that you'll be supportive of having that admin report come to council and us making a really well-informed decision here that ensures something is successful when you're going to be investing your time into it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I support that. With the news and the announcement today, I definitely support it for sure. I'm just being honest. If we didn't have that announcement, that would maybe be, I might create a little bit of resistance, but we can't use it right now anyway. That being said, I have a lot of my personal material and money invested, as well as time that I put into constructing that, as well as time that I am going to invest into constructing the additional material. So I just hope that there's an appreciation for that, in the sense that we still need to get this purchased, and I'm the one volunteering my free time to make it all safe and build it. And that won't take a day or two. It'll probably take me, best case scenario, like a few days at least, right? 3 to 4 days bare minimum. So we're not going to be skating on anything, definitely, I would guess, for 30 days, like Councillor Bouchetti had mentioned. But I would still love, yes, for sure, if there's a report created, and hopefully by the end of this month, that there's at least some light shed on the doors opening, and we can maybe start looking at preparing for it, because
there'll be a decision on the end of the month, for sure. We're talking about having a special meeting next week just for you. So there's actually going to be a decision on this, you know, next week. But you know, I can understand your rush to move forward, but you know, an admin report might suggest inspecting the boards that you have. We don't have any idea what kind of shape your boards are in or what that looks like. So I want to make sure that when kids step out there, that somebody isn't, you know, getting a screw from a piece of plywood. And so there's going to be some coordinated effort here. And I admire your persistence on this, but I also ask for a bit of patience, that we, you know, the last thing you want is our staff not on side and supportive, right? If it involves looking over your boards and making sure they're in good shape, you know, if the CAO coordinates with his staff to make this go forward, we want to make sure it's done right, or we're going to have issues, we're going to have safety problems. And so I think what you've heard here tonight should give you confidence that this is supported. And now let's find a way to get information, and if this moves forward, as it sounds like it probably will, that it's done right. So I would say that Councillor Link could be in touch with you next week. Watch for a notification on a special meeting, and it looks like we're gonna, discuss this and move towards making a decision next week.
Okay, perfect. That gives me a timeline, and I thank you all for the time and the comments and the concerns and the suggestions, and I look forward to hearing back for your.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi, Council. I just wanted to point out that the 2 10-minute delegations that, we can give them more time if we want to, I think is on into 2 hours here. So just pointing that out.
I apologize for that too.
Thanks, Mr.
That was for Council.
That was for the chair. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much. And on that note, can we take a 15-minute break? That's been two hours going hard. We're okay, 15 minutes. We'll come back here at 5:45 and we'll carry on. We don't have a lot left, but we'll take a bit of a break. Good, perfect, thank you. See you back here in 15 minutes. 15 seconds. All right, we are back. Thank you, everybody. And for anyone still hanging on to us live here, we are on item 4.1.1, the Damish School, and we are getting an update from our CAO on what's going on at the school site. I will pass that over to our CAO.
Hello, Council. So the school, as we're all aware, they've started to they cleared the site. I think the foundation's down for the school. We had the 4 points that I was discussing with the school, and we were holding back the permit. One of the 4 points were based on drainage, transportation, septic, so sewage, and water. So there's people watching tonight on YouTube. So I want to show this is a concept of the new school, which has been started. The permit has been pulled, and they've started work on the school. This is going at 205 Holmes Road or 105 Holmes Road, and that's on Holmes and Penida, just off where there's access to the perimeter. So this is a picture of what the school will look like when it's completed. I'll just address the drainage right now. The lot grade plan was approved for this school. You are going to have a retention pond on site, and the water will be held in the retention pond, and there will be a slow release, so it won't be impacting the immediate area. The province has given the okay for drainage, and we have approved the lot grade. Next slide, Lainey, please. I'm just gonna here. Okay, so on 105 Holmes Road, so they had the developer had permission from the province to go ahead, but I wouldn't release the building permit at first because I wanted to talk to them about some issues that I had for the RM that the province did not at the time. So dealing with the owner of the developer for 105 on the permit. In this letter you see, I am the owner representative for our new school project at 105 Holmes Road. This letter is to confirm that we'll be pursuing engineering design for both a septic field and a well for the supply of water on on-site services. Either of these services cannot be achieved as a result of AHJ approvals or engineer design obstacles. Then we will provide engineering design for septic holding tanks, for sanitary services, and or tie-in water piping from Capitalist Drive water main for water supply. So we've discussed with this group that for water, we said that we had issues with the well. They're still looking at doing some engineering studies on wells, but it appears that we have allowed them, just like we have allowed Seven Oaks School. We said you can hook up to our reservoir, but you will have to put the in to the reservoir, and the developer of the school has said yes. You know, they're willing to do that. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another letter in regards to 105 Holmes Road. As per a virtual meeting discussion dated October 23rd, 2020, and the owner representative of 105 Holmes Roads agree that Classic Properties Management Inc. is ready to bring a water pipeline from the Capitalist Reservoir to the nearest most economical water line in the area. We understand the occupancy will not be granted until we have municipal water in place. We trust the RM will be working towards having the water line in place 2021 for our anticipated occupancy of July 2021. So we are currently working on an MOU that we will do with this group in regards to water supply. They have agreed that we have agreed verbally to move forward with this, and they've given us letters, but they want to be in the school in 2021 for the next school year, and we wanted to work with them to get their permits going. So we, like I said, we've allowed the permits to be released, and they are starting on site. They have started on site. The other issue was the septic field. So we said we didn't want a regular septic field. So they had applied for a regular septic field from the province. And next slide, Lainey. So they are working with the province. They have to go for, they have a letter from the province of Manitoba, conservation online on-site wastewater management system service to 105 Holmes Road. So they have a number of environmental compliances that they have to do. They have to put an application in. When they put this application in, there'll be open houses with the public to, you know, if anyone is opposed to the water, they'll have to post a number of different things. There's a whole process you have to go through with the province on the environmental stewardship division. This process could take for approval from 4 to 8 months, and it could range from a regular septic field wouldn't happen here, but they call them different types of wastewater plants would take place. So there would be potentially some wastewater services within the building, modified, more expensive environmental waste taking place here. And what I would say is the last resort for the school is straight up holding tanks with up to forecast 350 kids. There's not 350 yet, but that's their goal in the future. That holding tanks would be quite expensive, so they're looking at different types of wastewater systems. On the next page, and we'll post this. This will be in the minutes. And just scroll down, lady, please. We'll have this in the minutes, so you'll be able to look, and you can see here is, oops, gone a little bit too far there. No. No, Laney, we want to go to the next page. So I've listed okay, there's the last page, Laney, that has all the provincial places to look. There you go. Okay, that would be good. Okay, there. Perfect. This will be in the minutes, and this will be on our website. So council and the public will be able to go and look and see. This tells the process you have to do for environmental license, and gives you a whole bunch of information here. I sat down with the province last week and spent about an hour going through all the process here. I suspect that they're going to have some kind of specialized system that's partly in the school and partly outside here. But the group has agreed that the least, the minimal septic that they will have is holding tanks. So if it points to holding tanks, this group is good with holding tanks. I have a letter that acknowledges that from them, and they would be hauling to the city of Winnipeg. The other issue I had, and we're good with the screens now, and those will be posted. They'll be posted in the minutes, and I'll send council these sites to look at. The other one was transportation. So I sat with the MI department, the director of transportation, just to let council know that Holmes Road, they are looking to going west to having Holmes Road paved. So MI senior people have been on site in the area looking at Holmes Road. So there is a plan to pave Holmes Road going to Pipeline, and then to the east, expansion of the Holmes Road. So I don't know what expansion of a Holmes Road looks like, but I know the province has is doing a study on the north perimeter for safety, so that access will be closed at the north perimeter, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens within a year or sooner. And then when they close that access, they were going to be looking at different things to do in that area with regards to transportation. And probably this fall, you'll be seeing, I've been told by the province that you will be seeing an outreach program that looks at PTH 9, McPhillips, and the north perimeter, where they will be going to the public and pulling the public on different things, maybe showing different designs to the public. They have already been pulling the RM on different land in the area and asking us for owners of the land to expansion or new ways to work with Holmes Road. And that is it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. I'm going to go around the table and see if there's any questions for you, and thanks for keeping your presentation short. I'm going to, I had Councillor Link, Councillor Bichetti. I'm on to Councillor Kleiber. You're first up. Any questions or comments for the CAO on this?
No, but thank you for the extensive review. Really very much appreciated, and we will appreciate getting your emails as well as follow-up. Thank you.
Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
I'm Councillor Link now, apparently. Okay, so for the domestic schools, for the holding tanks, what is the capacity that we have over at Seven Oaks School Division? Because they have a holding tank there, right? So what is their capacity? They have quite a few people there. So can you comment on that?
I don't know what the Seven Oaks School Division with their tanks are. I couldn't tell you offhand, but in talking to Ridgemark Builders, the builder for this property, the holding tanks are could be as large as 20 gallons to be pumped. But in this case, there's and you'll see if you go on all these different sites that there's wastewater plants that happen. They're very elaborate engineering designs that take place, and so they're looking at things that happen in other areas where that have been approved. They showed me some other areas that have been approved.
So it would be standalone kind of thing.
Advanced septic, and in Hutterite colonies. There's another one just outside of Winnipeg to the south where something similar to this school took place. But if it's a holding tank, there are 20,000 gallon holding tanks. Now you could only take so much to the city of Winnipeg or a lagoon. If you went to a lagoon in a municipality, there's only so much you can take at a time. But I guess when you have 20,000 gallons capacity, then you don't have to worry about, oh boy, let's not use the toilets today in the school because if you have a small tank, it would fill pretty quick. So I've been told that 20,000 gallon tanks are normal in conditions like this and in other municipalities.
And with the north perimeter, are they looking at a road to kind of go into Holmes? Is that what they're thinking about? Because we've got the road on the other side going to Caplis. So would they expand that right across onto Holmes?
I think you might be onto something there. I don't want to
give away
to move too far ahead of here. I've seen some preliminary design, but the province is going to be doing outreach. I want to wait for some formal announcement from the public when they do their outreach, and then you'll see pictures. you know,
Yeah.
of what they're
That makes the most
potentially
sense.
going to do. But, you know, Holmes Road would, we know to the west it's going to be paved from there, and there could be an east extension.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Craig, any comments, questions?
No question. Thanks for all the updates, Mr. CEO.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, any questions, comments?
No, just thanks for the update on Holmes Road, because I've been getting a lot of calls on that one between the people on Addis Avenue West and all around that surrounding area about the commercial traffic going, you know, around Penida, that kind of stuff. So it's good to see that they're going to have an alternative when those accesses to the perimeter are closed. So thanks for that update.
Getting calls on that too, and so residents know that there's a plan for the province to pave that. I think that's great and exciting news. And that's something that we have been talking about with Minister Schuler and our MLA, putting pressure on that if the perimeter is getting closed off, residents in that area need to have a paved road access to get to pipeline. So that will, the school coming in, I think, kind of gives it that extra push. Comments from myself on this. I appreciate the CAO updating us. I guess, you know, if these fellows are watching that are bringing the school to West St. Paul, I want to thank them. It is a good thing. We have a lot of people wanting options for schooling, private schools, public schools. So we thank them for choosing West St. Paul. They are in a good location for access to the perimeter. And so we're going to welcome them. They're designed for their school, looks beautiful, and they'll be addressing all of these different issues. So I would like to have them come to council at some point. I know the CAO has extended an invitation, and I hope they will accept to talk to us about their school and how many local residents are going to be part of this school, already part of the school at their current location. So I think it's definitely a good thing to have options in our community for private and public school. I want to commend the CAO on following up on all of the issues from drainage, wastewater, and water access. So just to be clear, they were able to go ahead and do this. They did not need rezoning or anything from council. And the CAO worked above and beyond to make sure that some of our concerns got addressed. And having a water line extended means that in the future that line is out further and maybe residents get access to that water in that area. I am still concerned about the septic field, and I know this is provincial jurisdiction and they'll make their decisions and whether or not this is a treatment plant over there. Whatever comes, it will be the province. But I have made it really very clear to Minister Schuler, our MLA, and I know our CAOs made it clear to provincial officials that, you know, we want to see fairness. We have residents over there in Legends, on Rosemary Path, in that whole area that are a family of 4, and they are forced to hook up to a holding tank on their property. And it doesn't sit well with me that a school of 350 kids could possibly have a field when we haven't been able to approve that for our residents. So, you know, we've made that very clear, the CAO and I, in talks with elected officials and bureaucrats behind the scene with the province, that if this school is coming, they should have either commercial size holding tanks or some kind of treatment plant, because our residents, rightly so, are going to be saying that is not fair. So I want to thank the CAO. He's been putting pressure on them and really bringing those concerns forward from us and from our residents on this. You know, huge concerns if a family of 4 has to have a holding tank and a school doesn't. So we welcome the school. I don't want to criticize them, but we just want to make sure things are done properly. That's all the comments I have on that one. Thank you for the update. That's excellent. And again, I'd like to see them come to council and present. The picture looks pretty, but it would be great to hear from them and their plans. All right, we are on to item 4.41, holiday closures. The municipal office, Public Works, Sonova Center. So this is the recommendation. Everybody's seen it. Recommended that the Council of West St. Paul approve the schedule of closures of the municipal office and Public Works Department for 2020-2021 holiday season as follows. And so this is coming forward at the council meeting on Thursday to give everybody a look. If there's any concerns on this, we've all had a look at the dates on here, and it's typical to when we are usually closed for holidays. If anybody has any concerns, raise your hand now. Councillor Kleiber, go ahead.
Just wondering about the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, it almost looks like we're closed for 5 days in a row. Do we normally do that? Because I know when I was a banker, we could be closed more than 3. So are there any rules governing that?
Ms. Shaw, I'm gonna turn that over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can address this. The closures, when the stat holiday falls on a weekend, what is our typical process in the administration and public works office and Sonova Center would be to take the following work day. So in this case, because it's Christmas and we have Boxing Day, it's 2 full working days, Friday for Christmas and the 28th in lieu of Boxing Day. The 24th is just a half-day closure.
I don't want to disagree with you, Ms. Shaw, but Boxing Day is not a stat. So the only stat you have is Christmas Day. Boxing Day used to be a stat until we got Gary Dewar, and then it changed. But that's fine if that's what has been the norm. Then that's the norm. Go ahead.
Traditionally in municipalities in the city of Winnipeg, that it's a half day for the day before Christmas and 2 days in lieu of. So if it's on a weekend, you'll get the days worked out that way. City of Winnipeg's the same thing. Other RMs are the same thing. There's another RMs that close for a week at Christmas. And I think that, I don't know if they still do it. That used to be the practice at Red River Planning too, that they would shut down for the whole week. We watch how this takes place because as you know, with snow clearing, I can't afford, so we're careful when we do this, that it doesn't break into too many days. So if you call someone in on Christmas Day and that for snow clearing, it could get pretty expensive.
Okay, just checking on it because I know I don't pay Boxing Day because it's not a stat anymore. Yeah, it's not a stat. So when you're a private business, you got to do things differently. But that
I can add for the benefit of council that the municipality recognizes it through our collective agreement as a holiday.
Okay, thank you. That sets it straight for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Bichetti, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to reiterate what the CIO was saying. Just because it says public works is closed, if we do get a blizzard or a heavy snow situation, they are still out. So if people are listening, they're not closed for that whole time. They do get called in. So if something happens, which knock on wood, I hope it doesn't, but thank you.
Absolutely. Our staff's been called in on water main breaks and snowstorms. And so the office being closed doesn't mean everybody's not working. And I know council still receives calls right through Christmas. So there's no break. But if there's no concerns then about the other dates, this will just come forward on the Thursday meeting for approval. All right, 4.4.2, we have the 2020, okay, sorry. Recommended that council approve. Ms. Shaw, I don't need to be, it seems like nobody has any concerns about it, so it's recommended that we move that forward to the council meeting. 4.43 live stream video, and everybody saw the admin report.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
4.42, please.
4.42 is the schedule of council meetings. Okay, sorry. And so pulling up the schedule, yep, holiday closures. Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Holiday closures, and then we've got the schedule of council meetings. Did everybody have an opportunity to look at that? Okay, any concerns on the schedule of council meetings? Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
I don't have any concerns, but I know in the summers we kind of cancel 1 or 2 meetings in July and August. So should we just remove them now before we have to go through cancellation, or do you have to leave them on and then cancel them? How does that work?
They already are.
I think they're off.
No,
Yeah.
when I looked at it, they were all there.
Ms. Shaw, have you got those on?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As you can see in the notes of the administration report, we are recommending that council cancel the July 22nd council meetings, August 26th, as well as the November 11th council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I missed the council part on the right side. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Any other comments for discussion on the council meetings? Okay, then that will come forward at Thursday's meeting as well. And we are down to, thanks, Ms. Shaw, keeping me on track. 4.43 then, our live stream video. I'm going to pull up the report on this. So at a previous council meeting, there was a request from council regarding how much has already been spent on live streaming video. So I want to thank our CAO for preparing this report that's attached for residents to see as well. It talks about the state of emergency was declared March 11th, 2020. So to comply with the provincial health orders around physical distancing and limits on group size, the advice of the municipal emergency coordinator for West St. Paul, we closed our council chambers. And then we had to find ways to comply with the municipal relations requirements around the Planning Act for open and transparent meetings. So we did a good job for making sure that all of our public hearings were public, that everybody had an opportunity to participate in those. So you can see from the list, April 6th, May 7th, May 14th, July 9th, August 13th, September 8th, September 10th, and October 10th were meetings that we had B&K Studios come in and talk about, or come in and film those to make sure that it was accessible. We had a speaker out front during the summer for people to come and listen to our meetings. It wasn't ideal as we worked to moving towards live stream and recording for our meetings, which we have now done. And there was a question from council about, do we need a resolution? And in the report prepared for the CAO, we have a resolution for each of the approved checks and each of the expenditures to film those. So we passed a resolution on October 22nd that authorizes B&K Studios to provide council meeting live streaming services, and the cost to date includes the following. So everybody's had a chance to see that report, and I'll just go around and see if there's any questions. I think we've really done a good job, and I just want to reiterate again, we've been leaders in the capital region. We're the third RM, rural municipality, to live stream and record our meetings out of 18. So I'm really proud of what we did. And during the height of COVID and everyone figuring out what to do, we were leaders in that, for having an LID public hearing and for putting our public hearings online and ensuring that business still got done in West St. Paul. So I'm really proud of that process. It's challenging in a state of emergency, but we've done it. So are there any comments? I'll go around the table. Councillor Bichetti, any comments on the admin report?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kleiber, any comments on the admin report?
On those live stream ones, were any of those the B and K ones? Because remember, we asked them for one free meeting to try it out. Did we get that free meeting? Here's me watching the dollars and the cents again, you know.
Yes, we did. So I just want to comment on this briefly, that, you know, when we started doing this with B&K, they jumped into action, and we had to, you know, we had never gone this way before. What was taking place here? How would we do this? It seemed like I didn't realize that meetings used to be so easy. You open the doors and people come in and you have a meeting. Easier for the mayor to run a meeting when everyone's in the same room with her. Easy for council to come in and do things in person. So then when this took place, we had opportunities to use B&K, and we knew them. We had done work with them before. You know, very good in this type of business, and so we started out. We used them, and we're able to make things happen. And we're able to do the LID meeting, which is exciting, and we were on the ground. delivering a notice by hand. You know, I remember doing a trial run with some of us, maybe all of us one day, and Laney and I looking and saying, how do you think that went? And going, oh boy, you know, how is this going to work? And then bingo, it all starts coming together, right? And it's going really good. But as we're doing this and we're thinking, like, we're in West St. Paul, we're optimistic people, right? And we're thinking, I'm thinking, and I'm sure we all are, is this COVID thing's not going to last forever. And, you know, we'll be back in the council chamber. And then as time goes, the numbers in Manitoba are low. We're not seeing anything happen. And it's like, well, we'll be back in business before you know it in the council chamber. And we're continuing to go on that way. And then we started having to put things in place and say, you know, we have to do some live streaming here. We can't put a speaker outside, and we're all in agreement in that, and that's where we are today. But we did get the one a free one from them, and we've had some extra services from them, and we've had some equipment on site loaned to us, you know, to get going, and they've been so good that I know that they're also I think they bought a contract with St. Andrews now, and they're also doing St. Andrews meetings. And I think tonight they've got a meeting in St. Andrews and a meeting in West St. Paul. So service has been really good, and we've had a lot of calls from a lot of other RMs. And as the mayor said, for live streaming, we're number 3 in the capital region. So I'm pretty proud of all of us, admin and council, because council has to work really hard to make this happen too. And you know, we have your residents that have access to council. The whole world's changed, right? So it's been very difficult. So I commend that this provider. I commend council on this, and especially above all is our staff has worked really hard here to keep it together through COVID.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Any other questions, Councillor Kleiber? Councillor Bichetti, go ahead. You've got your hand up.
What kind of numbers are we getting on these? Just roughly. We've had a few of them now, so I'm just curious if it's been going up.
I think our meetings, we're usually at about 15 that are watching our meetings. We would usually get about 2 in attendance in our chambers. So the live streaming, we have more people watching. And the last time I checked on the last meeting for November 2nd, there was at least 60 views on that. So we're making it so much easier for our residents to see our meetings and watch our decision making. And we are all in full agreement that we want that to be, want our residents to have easy access to our meetings. So that's a good thing. That is a really good thing. And there hasn't been a lot of great things come out of COVID. They're very difficult times, and that is a really positive things that we're right in residents' living rooms now. So that's a good thing. Councillor Link, any questions, comments?
Yes, for Mr. CAO, at the bottom of your report, it says that it is noted that individual checks may include services in addition to live streaming. Now, you mentioned that B&K has loaned us some equipment, but there's other things that they would do for us. And I'm sure residents would like to know. I think they post the videos online for us. They number the sections so we can locate them. I'm sure there's other things they do that are called extra services. Could you comment?
Well, there's a number of services they do for us, that they organize the data, they post the data to YouTube. They are on while we are on. They are helping us along. So if we have a problem with our streaming, they're there's actually two people on today that I would call gurus in this type of business. So we've had problems as we're rolling, as you know, cut action. Let's get going on this, and they have to be on their toes at all times because we're depending on internet providers. We're depending on an application on the internet. So we're depending on cameras, all these type of things. So they've been very good that way. They've helped us prepare for when we do come back into council. So we have a number of cameras set up in the council chamber. So you know, shovel ready, just like we talked previously about the hockey rink and being ready for when things change. So when you're coming back into the council chamber, that, you know, we're hoping is more sooner than later, that this type of programming won't work. We'll all be in the same room. So your council chamber that some of you haven't seen for a long time has cameras, 3 different cameras in it now with microphones that are ready to move forward. So that's another service that, you know, is part of this all, is getting us ready for when we get going.
Go ahead, Councillor Link.
Just a follow-up question. I thought that council agreed that we were taking the basic package with 1 camera. Am I wrong?
There's 3 cameras in the room, and I don't think we're paying for the 3. We have 1 camera that we're paying for. There's 3 in the room.
I would just like to add that the way that COVID came about and the panic that we had to try and comply, that B&K had done work filming at our Canada Day events, and so we had experience with him that way. And we did a number of videos, mayor messages to the community, letting our residents know to wear their masks and what COVID meant and what kind of public health orders were coming down from the province. And I'm really proud of our community. They've been complying, social distancing, wearing masks. And so, you know, we haven't heard of an outbreak in West St. Paul. I'm sure we're going to have cases. But Brian coming in and filming on weekends, turning that over really quick, filming on a Sunday in the chambers, immediately editing it, handing it to Lainey for Monday morning. We've just had such great service. So, you know, in a provincial state of emergency, how do you communicate that? So I don't know if anybody's watched from any of the other communities. You know, City of Winnipeg's having a hard time finding good video work to be sending out their message. So I'm really pleased with what we've done on this front, and very low cost considering the service we're bringing to residents. So this has been great. Thank you for that report. And I think it's important for residents to see that. What have we spent and what are we getting for our money? And we're getting great value. And I know our guys, our technical guys that are listening on the meetings, their heads are swelling. So it doesn't mean we want you to let your guard down. We expect the best. All right, so we are at item 4.8.1, roadside speed display devices. Everybody's had a chance to look at the admin report on this as well. Mr. CEO, do you want me to hand this over to you? It's pretty self-explanatory, but just if there's anything else to add.
Well, I don't have a lot to add. It's self-explanatory. We are partnering here, and we're going to have roadside speed display services in West St. Paul that they will be able to be moved around. So it's not costing us anything. So you know, I'm excited about this. This is something that we've been trying to do. We've tried to do this with some private partners, and it didn't happen. So I guess the province had been getting some pressure to have this type of thing done. So it was a good program to work through MPI, and I guess it works for MPI, and it's going to work good for us. We have a lot of good places to move this device around to.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Any questions on this? Councillor Prague? Councillor Kleiber, I'll go to you next, and then to Councillor Link. Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
Just wondering how we're going to decide where it goes, because I'm now going to advocate for my ward. And the two roads that really struggle are Willis and Miller. And there's lots of speeding on them. People like, because they're using it as a through passage from Main Street to McPhillips. So I get a lot of complaints about that. So I'm going to put my 2 cents in for my ward there.
So as a follow-up then, Mr. CEO, do we have a say in where those go? Or is that coming from the provincial level, or can we say we want these moved to these streets? Because I agree we've got some real problem streets.
Yeah, we've been told that we'll be able to move them to the streets we want. So I think this would be a good jumpstart point for council to work together on setting this up on streets that we can all agree on that are needing it, and we know that there's, you know, I think everyone recognizes there's some streets between that connect Maine and McPhillips that have historically been tough for us, that are, you know, almost shortcuts for. I think this would be a good chance for council to do something here together.
Thank you. Councillor Link, go ahead.
Are these devices similar to the ones that were discussed at the budget meeting 2020? Portable, can be moved. About $6,000 a pair, I think.
Yeah, they're similar to that.
Yeah. And are you must be aware that the company that was promoting those units, so there's more than one, but companies are willing to come to council and speak to council about how these are recommended to be installed, and also there are ways of monitoring traffic. If there was a station set up, say in Public Works, then there would be a record kept of the speeds of at certain times of the day, say, and then the RCMP could be alerted to those certain times of the day, and so on and so forth. It might be an interesting exercise to invite one of the companies that provide these devices come and speak with council, and so that we can be more familiar with them, and residents too could learn about them now that we are live streaming.
Well, I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to once we're moving forward here, we'll have to get the provider of this system to come in and talk to us and give us more. So as I get more information, I'll share it with council.
Thank you. Councillor Bichetti, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say, is if we get there's representatives from MPI that can come in and tell you how this program works and what kind of information they're actually taking from it too. So they've got a whole category on this. So thanks.
This is really great. I'm glad that they're doing this, and council knows we had an offer from one company, and there's probably others that would have given us a sign to use throughout the community at no cost, but the province won't allow any name, signage, any identifying companies or information on those signs. So we were moving forward on this, and I know Councillor Link brought this at budget as well, that this is an important thing to have in our community to address speed issues. We all know it's a huge problem. So we had an offer for, to get this for free with a brand name on it. We discussed it at budget time. So this is great that this is at no cost to our residents now, and we can move this around. So this is very positive. All right, seeing no further discussion, we have nothing left on the agenda for this evening. 6:30, longer than anticipated, but we did good, worked our way through it. Good discussion tonight. Thank you, council. Thank you again to residents joining us. And we are back together for a heavy planning item on agenda for Thursday's regular planning meeting. Thank you, council.